Good afternoon, folks. This is Steve A, and this is A Voice in the Desert. There's a few things that I wanted to talk about today, and I wanted to talk about the church attendance and its rapid decline in 2025. And I'd also like to talk about tithing as well. But what I want to start out with is I want to start out with this verse called it's out of Hebrews 19 through 25, and it goes, it's kind of the Bible Gateway is called a call to preserve in faith. And it says, therefore, brothers and sisters, since we have confidence to enter the most holy place by the blood of Jesus, by a new and living way open for us through the curtain, that is his body, and since we have a great priest over the house of God, let us draw near to God with a sincere heart and with the full assurance that faith brings, having our hearts sprinkled to cleanse us from a guilty conscience, and having our bodies washed with pure water. Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who has promised is faithful. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up on meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. So that's verses out of that's Hebrews 19 through 25. So the topic today is I wanted to talk about something that I've been seeing a lot on the internet. It's certainly on this platform, and I wanted to talk about church attendance and its rapid decline. And I want to kind of give you a little background on my church without mentioning the name, because I think that there's a lot of people that are have this similar situation, and it seems to be something that's considerably growing. As you know, Christianity has basically been on decline since the middle of the 60s, and the Protestant denominations has gone down. As a matter of fact, the statistics have shown now that people who are between the ages of 18 and 25, only about 46%. Now, these are statistics right now. It used to be 75% what it was this way. So only about 46% of the of Gen Z, which is the younger generation, only about 46% actually identify as Christians, when 25 to 30 years ago, it was around 75%. So church attendance has gone down by at least 30 to 40%. And that's something that I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to talk about why you may not be going to church and what your churches may be able to do something about it. I think that for me, I think everybody goes to church for a lot of different reasons. A lot of people go there because they want to meet people, make friends, and have a fellowship with God. But I think a lot of our churches today, and I'm not saying this is all, I know that there are some that are trying to do this. A lot of them have become nothing more than entertainment and much more of a social outlet, or just too much of a show. And it's actually a turn off for some people. And then there's the politics that usually get involved with the church. Now, I know that the IRS has recently stated that 501c nonprofits can talk about politics. Now, my opinion on politics, I think the churches should steer away from politics. I don't think it honors God. Who you vote for is basically your business. If you want to talk about policies, that's different. But I would just say the best thing to do, regardless of who's in the White House, or regardless of what your political party is or what your view is, that should not be the focus of Sunday morning, or be the focus of a church, is to be promoting promoting some particular candidate. I think there's a lot of risk in doing that because if your congregation believes that if is either one way or the other, that usually causes a lot of friction within the body. So I understand. So I think it would be best if the church wants to stay clear away from political candidates and politics. Now, if you want to talk about policies, the right policies that are geared toward your faith, that might be something different. But I think it should be related to, I don't think it's up for us as Christians to be controlling what other people do or imposing our beliefs on everyone else because not everybody is going to conform to the way we believe. But considering all that, I wanted to get back to this thing, give you a little bit of background. I've been going to this church for about 20 years. And just recently, and there has been, and I will say there's been a lot of turnover in the last 20 years or the last decade or so with a lot of people moving. And there's just doesn't, and if recently there's been a lot of people that are not giving as much and maybe I'm not the only one in this that is in this position. Maybe the church you're going to is suffering from this, but it's a medium-sized congregation. But a lot of the people either have moved or have gone away, so their donations have gone down. The other thing is that they've spent a lot of money on a large building which is over 60 years old, and they apparently paid over what is it over three that the church or although they got a good deal for the church, they paid 1.5 million dollars for this old Baptist church that's in this area, which could have been over 3 million without the deal that they made to some other church. But apparently, the people that they've had, they don't seem to be bringing in that many people into the church. The church is very hard to see, and most of it is, and much of the churches is focuses on young families and children. Now, for a person like me, myself, who is not married and not have children, for some people like that, and there are people that are similar to me who are not married and don't have children, that kind of makes me kind of feel left out because it's kind of very, very difficult to make friends with people or have fellowship with people. Now, to be honest with you, of being part of this church for at least for more than a decade now, I'm currently go to different places and I might be searching. I'll probably still be involved over there somewhat, but I go to church because I basically want to have friends. I want to have community, and I don't want to just sit there and go to church all day and just sit and do the same thing every week. We go there because we want to meet people and we want to have fellowship with other believers. But to be honest with you, the last 2 years, or no, the last 20 years, I would say I probably only made maybe two friends out of that whole congregation, maybe two people in that particular church. And I have given to the church. I have given faithfully. I'm doing my tithing. I'm doing all the right things. I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to be doing. But unfortunately, I haven't really made that many friends, which is to be understandable because most of the people that go to my church, or a lot of it is mostly a lot of families with a lot of children, and so there's a lot of little kids walking around. So I don't feel that there's really much of a place for me there, except if they have something special going on. But I think that if the people that have stopped coming to church or not going to that particular church or churches like it, why could that be? Why have people moved away, or why are people not attending that church anymore? Why could that be? Can you figure it out? Well, maybe is it because that they've lost their faith in God? Maybe they have. I don't know. Or maybe is that church is not, maybe the church has nothing, maybe they're not getting anything out of that church. Maybe they're not, maybe the programs that are there are not appealing to some of the people. Maybe there are people there that are not communicating with each other. I mean, if all you're doing, if you're all you're doing is just meeting together once a week every Sunday, and you're not communicating with each other, and if all you're doing is just going to church, and there's music, and then after there's music, then you're going to listen to some guy preaching for an hour and giving you his commentary, and then after that, maybe, just maybe, you go up there for prayer. It's the same old thing. It's like a routine. It's the same old thing, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But after a while, it gets kind of boring, and you need to change it up. It's just you're not getting anything out of it. If it's all the same old thing every single week, then that's not a sign for growth. That doesn't help you. So I think that you need to be offering more programs. You need to be I would say that I've seen at least with my situation and with my church, is they've had to cut the budgets drastically because of all of their big people. I would say that I understand that churches have expenses, they have maintenance things, but I think that there are certain things that you have to cut back. There's a lot of things that I think that the church needs to do to be able to, they need to be offering more for people. And especially they need to be offering for people that don't have families, or people that maybe like myself that don't have families, or left children, because there are people in there that somehow feel kind of left out when you're not communicating with other believers, and if all your focus is on little kids. What about the people that are single? What about the people that are not married? What about the people that don't have any friends? Where do they fit in that church? I don't know, but I think that's why you kind of have to do your homework, and you got to find the right church. But there is a very big reason why a lot of these churches are not bringing in new people, because they're not. It's a lot of it is politics. A lot of it is religion. A lot of it is just routine. It's the same old thing every week. It doesn't necessarily mean people have a faith in God. It just means that maybe they're not getting anything out of that church. Why would you want to go up there? Why would you want to go to that church every Sunday just to hear the preacher preach the same sermon every week, and re and repeat words and verses that you've heard thousands of times, and that you're probably not getting anything out of them? Or listen to music that is very, very boring, or the same type of worship. So I don't know, is God really alive in that church? I'm not sure. It depends. I want to see a church that's lively. I want to see a church where believers communicate with each other. And number one, it's important that they do things outside the church. I think they should have a wide variety of people there, because there are people like me that probably wouldn't fit into a lot of these churches because it's all young families. But I think it's really, really important for if you want to have a church to grow, you need to focus not so much on the entertainment and all the other stuff, and you need to focus on God and have community. So, but if you're not doing any of those things, and if all of you're doing is the same thing every week, then all of this is just nothing more than a meeting, and there's no value in coming there every week. So And I understand how people are feeling. I understand that there are people who feel left out in some of these churches, and everybody goes there. Everybody goes to church for a lot of different reasons, and I go there mainly because I like the community, I like the fellowship. But even where I go, I don't communicate with that many people, and they don't communicate with me. And so, in even some of the times that I've tried to reach out to them, they always make excuses where they don't want to get together with me or don't want to talk to me. Only other than when I come there every week. So if you're one of those people, or like I am, and if you've moved away, or maybe you stopped going to that church, or maybe you went somewhere else, I understand how you feel. And I understand because I feel the same way. If you're going to a church and they're not offering you anything and you're not getting anything out of that church, then I don't think you should be going there. You should be looking for a different church to go to. Now, the other thing is the tithing. I think if you want to tithe, that's good. I think it is a commitment to tithe if you think you're getting something out of that church. I think they say that most people should be giving at least 10% of their income, which I do think you should tithe but it's basically should be a personal decision. There's nothing in the Bible that I'm seeing that says that you have to tithe. I think tithing is a very personal decision. And I do think it is important for you to serve in the church. I think it is to be able to do things for your church and do what you can. But if you're not getting anything out of that church, if the church is not offering certain programs, or if you're not communicating, then maybe you shouldn't be going to that church. You should be looking elsewhere and finding a church where they have people who communicate. So I do think that tithing is a personal decision. You give what you think is best, but I do think if you are getting something out of that church and you feel that God is leading you in a certain way, then I think that you should tithe. But if God is speaking to you in your mind and and he's telling you, well, maybe God is leading me in a different direction and I'm not getting anything out, then don't give to that church. Go somewhere else. Find a different church to go to. So that's just kind of what I wanted to say on that front. So I understand what people are saying. I mean, I know the churches are in a rough spot right now, it and in many cases it doesn't mean that everybody that has moved away or is not coming to church anymore, that doesn't mean they've lost their faith in God. It just simply means that maybe that particular church, maybe they're not getting anything out of it. Maybe they're not getting anything out of the worship. Maybe they're not getting anything out of the preaching. Maybe they're just simply bored and looking for something different. So I would suggest if you're in a church and you want more people to come to the church, you need to be offering more stuff to people. You need more programs. And you also need to be reaching out to people like myself who may not have a family or maybe feel alone or just maybe somebody who doesn't fit well into that mold. Because not everybody there has a family. Not everybody there has kids or not everybody there is married. But everybody needs community. It is very important that we need to be reaching out to the people who don't know God. That's why me and my friend James Carter, when he was here, where we went out to parks and my friend James Carter, he has a ministry called A Voice Crying in the Desert Outreach.com. And what he does is he goes to all these different places like parks across Indiana and other states. And what they do is they make videos and they talk to other people. And it's just they ask them how they're doing and if they need prayer for anything. It's all about getting out there and getting outside of the building, getting outside of your comfort zone. And just talking to people who don't necessarily know God or people who would not necessarily come into a church. So that's kind of what the goal should be. It should not only be about the building, it should not only be about you, but we understand that there's a lot of people in our churches, and we've got young families, we have single people, and there are people out there that feel alone and they feel lonely, and maybe as I've said before, there are some people who do feel kind of left out, and the church can be a really segregated place. And if you don't fit into that mold, and if that's just simply not for you, then I understand how a lot of people are feeling, that a lot of people don't want to come to church because it's nothing more than a meeting, or it's all religion and a show, and which is understandable. And I agree with you 100%. And that's why it's always important to get outside the building and do things just as my friend James Carter. You got to be out talking to people. You got to do things more than what you do on the church on Sunday morning. It can't be where you just go to church on Sunday morning and then you see them once a week and then you never talk to them. That's not fellowship. Fellowship is where you talk to people, you get together with people outside the church, you call them up, you send them a text, and you ask them how they're doing, if there's anything they need. But that's just the way church is supposed to be. So that's just my advice for struggling churches, that if you want people to come to your church, that you need to give them a reason to come. And so this is Steve A. and A Voice in the Desert, and that's what I wanted to say today. So I will see you soon on another video. Bye bye.